Yo, this is Dave Wyndorf from Monster Man, and you're listening to Rockum Radio, baby.
A better dystopia.
Yeah.
Congratulations. How do you feel about it?
I had a great time doing it, man. I mean, I wanted to do these songs. These songs have been in my heart since I was a little kid.
Mm-hmm.
And, 12, 13 years old, about that time when you start listening to music and you're really, really into it. When you first start listening to rock. And it's like, these are a lot of these songs are the songs that really got me going.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really fun to make the record and sing those songs. I mean, I love to sing that style.
Oh, yeah. So it's a personal album. Yeah. Dave Diamond, Hogwind, Scientist. Wow.
Yeah.
Jerusalem.
Hawkwind and Dust. And a lot of those other bands that were like really obscure. It's like not a lot of people heard of them. Even when I was a kid, they were hard to find records. But I just thought that like all these individual songs, if they were put together on the same album, would make a good album.
How was the selection process of the songs? Any story to share, Dave?
I kind of walked around with them in my head for years because I love these songs and I know no one's ever heard of them. And it was kind of a dream of mine to cover them, but I never found the right opportunity. But because of the COVID lockdown, COVID locked everybody down, and I was like, all right, I think it's time to do the cover record. So I remember the songs that I wanted to do basically, and so the selection wasn't hard, and I based the whole thing on all right, I don't want to do songs that everyone's heard before a million times because that'll suck. So I want to try to pick some of the coolest songs that not a lot of people heard and put them and sequence them on an album in a way that would be a proper album to listen to. Make like a little freaky fourth dimension listening experience for people.
Oh, yeah. So you record this album the last year. So with that, choosing all the songs. And where did you record it? In New York? In New Jersey?
We recorded in my drummer's practice studio.
Okay.
And because of Corona, it's like couldn't really rent out a studio.
Exactly.
Everybody was locked.
Exactly.
And all that stuff. So I said, all right, we're going to do this all ourselves in this little, little practice studio. And it was really fun. It was actually more fun than making a record in a big studio. I had a good time.
Of course. It wasn't like when we were teenagers. We were recording everything in our home, in our friend's home, in his home studios. That's the good thing of the pandemic, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, how many records are going to come out this year that were recorded at home?
Ooh.
1,000 records.
Oof, a lot. And they are amazing. Let me tell you, I work in this area of the music business and I found a lot of great records. The pandemic brought inspiration to the artists. You know what I mean? Yeah, it did. It brought me inspiration just to do something. You know what I mean? Just so I wouldn't have to get stuck like the billions of other people sitting there with nothing to do. Like I was just, no way was I going to do nothing doing this thing. I had to do something to keep my sanity. So that was the inspiration, not to get bored. Oh yeah. So we can tell that it was a reconnection with yourself in a way.
Yeah,
that's beautiful.
It's like, I mean, it's like, you got to do something to keep it. For me, it was probably one of those things where if it wasn't for the COVID thing, I probably wouldn't have done this record. I would have just gotten on to write the next Monster Manor record. But because of the COVID situation, I didn't feel like writing because it bummed me out. I was like, what am I going to write about? Like sitting here doing nothing? I need some life experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
About, So I didn't get life experience, so that's what pushed me into doing this. And plus, I thought it would be a good idea to kind of give an example to some people of what a crisis situation can do for music. Like, when I was a little kid in the late 60s and early 70s, the world was really crazy. I mean, it was crazier than it was now. It's kind of hard to believe it, but it was. America had riots every single summer for 10 years. 10 years we had riots every single summer. there was a Vietnam War, and the kids were going off to war.
Exactly.
Basically, my age kids were going to war.
That's true.
You get drafted by the government. You had no choice. So it was a crazy time, and there was Charles Manson and Altamont and all this stuff. I mean, it was a bunch of good stuff too, but it was nuts. And I just always remember that the way that music responded to that time was almost immediate.
Mm-hmm.
It had this crazy sound to it. Although a lot of the lyrics were really paranoid. It was before metal. So
it's true.
It was
before metal.
It was like Black Sabbath, Zeppelin, the beginning of that kind of stuff. But you could hear the paranoia and the kind of gloom in the music. And it was brand new, and it was really cool. And then it flashed forward to today, and I looked at the last 4 years of America and the whole Trump thing, which was absolutely insane. Just like totally insane. Like this comedian, this idiot took over.
Yeah, in my opinion, there were too much hate between people,
Yeah, it's just hate,
Yeah, and, people hate haters everywhere.
How did the art respond to this? And I couldn't see any response really, because music is different now. The way music is digested is different.
Exactly.
So that I decided to take up a page of my past and go, okay, well, here's another time where the world was crazy, and this is how music reacted to it back then. And I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, definitely. The album cover is beautiful. What it represents, Dave?
Dude, yeah. It was done by this guy named Joe Tate. He's from Cleveland, Ohio.
Wow.
And I just met him online. And talked to him, and he's like a really cool guy. I had an idea for the album cover that it would look like an old black light poster from, say, 1971. And really vibrant and kind of paranoid insanity that was around back then. Very filled up with lots and lots of little figures. And I just had an idea of basically a kind of a rock concert with Magnet playing, the Bull God, who's the Monster Magnet's, kind of cartoon guy, mascot.
Oh, yeah.
Have him just stomping down and trying to destroy this whole rock festival. So just pretty much like wiping out Woodstock, and have riots and have just a ton of shit going on, just sex and riots. And I gave that idea to this guy, Joe Tate, and he came back and he nailed it. He totally nailed it.
Wow.
I was like, what a great cover.
Oh, yeah. Well, let me tell you, you did a good job. You and the guy did an amazing job, because cover art is fantastic. It's a masterpiece. One of the better of this year, in my opinion.
Thanks.
Yeah. Dave, the first time I listened to Monster Magnet was in 1995 with your album Dope's Infinity. I used to live in Peru, in South America. The song Negasonic Teenage Warhead was a hit in Lima, my city, when I was born. What are your memories of those days?
Oh, what I remember of those days was that things happened fast. Like, I put the band together in the total late 80s, early 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't going for a big success. I thought it would just be like an indie rock band, based on my love of weird music. I just had this idea in my head to make this band that would be the perfect band that I would love when I was 15. You get these ideas in your head, like, yeah, this would be this would be the band that I loved when I was like 15 years old. I didn't expect it to go anywhere. And what happened, within a couple of years, I had major labels coming around. And things got really big. It was bizarre. It was totally cool. It was like living the dream,
Yes.
I got signed, went on tour, got some money, girls.
Wow.
It was
fantastic.
Awesome.
I think you made your dreams come true.
They did. They actually came true, and I was so shocked because I wasn't going for it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I think it just goes to prove, like, if you do what you love and stick to just what you love, and don't, not really make a plan for world domination, but just kind of do what you love, things will work out.
Yeah.
Things will work out. It's like, stay true to the vision
of the band and the music, and things will work out. It was a hell of a ride, dude. It was crazy.
It's true. You have been in the music business since the 80s, 90s. So you have been witnessed explosions of the digital music, streaming, and some other changes in the music industry, like small venues, fewer big festivals.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So
industry has changed so much.
So, Dave, my question is, if you could choose anything about it to change this, what would it be in the music business?
Right now, I would change, if I could actually have a magic wand and change it, I would have the streaming services. I would have the streaming services pay the bands more money.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because I really don't think the bands are getting paid. I think there's some sort of shit going on.
Yeah, it's not fair, no? I think
behind those paywalls, there's some kind of shit going on.
Yes.
And
it's not fair.
Yeah, I mean,
for the musicians.
That's what I would do. But it's still the same shit. I mean, back in the days of corporate rock, when I started, the record companies were ripping off the bands, and now it's like the streaming services are ripping off. There's always somebody ripping off somewhere. Music is tough. Music is like one of the toughest businesses to be in because you can't just follow the money.
Absolutely.
And it drives people crazy. It drives bands crazy. But that's what I would. That's what I would change.
It's true. Dave, any concerts on the way?
Yeah. Right now, I'm planning to do 30th anniversary shows of Spine of God, our first record,
Wow.
our first independent record.
Oh, yeah, the first one.
And we're going to do that probably sometime around Christmas time.
Okay,
And then,
December.
right now, I'm looking for any tour I can get on, and I'll probably go out at the beginning of the year and try to stay on tour for a whole year because I miss it. I miss going out there.
Yeah, I miss the concerts too. Well, in Canada, a lot of people miss the concerts, and especially Monster and Magnet.
We'll be back.
Yeah.
We'll be back.
Don't forget us, please. Any last words? Any last words in this interview, Dave?
Just that, no, it was a pleasure to talk to you, man. I'm glad you dig it. And we're Magnets are like totally ready to come back to Canada. I'm ready to go anywhere right now. It's like it's time. Enough making album. It's time to get out there and actually do it in person.